House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 2 is a great follow-up to the explosive Battle of the Gullet from the premiere. It feels like the show has fixed the problems from Season 2 and is finally back to delivering the kind of exciting, high-quality storytelling that made Game of Thrones so popular. The dragons stole the show once again. Vhagar reduced Harrenhal to ruins, and both Aemond and Daemon going on brutal rampages. On top of that, Rhaenyra finally got her first kill, and it couldn't have happened to someone more deserving. And honestly, it was one of the most satisfying moments of the episode because it was a death that many people had been waiting for. With Alicent's plan working exactly the way she wanted, and her arrest leads to one final emotional showdown in the throne room. Now, Rhaenyra has to make an even harder decision. If she wants to prove herself as the true queen and win the support of the people of Smallfolk, she must decide what to do with the woman who was once her closest friend. Let's break down the ending of this amazing episode, look closely at the biggest moments, and talk about what they could mean for the story going forward. This video contains major spoilers for House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 2. Ending explained. Rhaenyra walking up the steps to the Iron Throne through Otto Hightower's blood was one of the most powerful shots of the episode. Who else thought it looked bloody amazing? To me, it felt like that Otto finally got what he deserved. It was a powerful reminder of the terrible price Rhaenyra had paid to reach the throne, but it also felt like a symbol of all the blood spilled for Rhaenyra to get here, including the loss of her two sons, Lucerys and Jace. After the Battle of the Gullet came to an end, Jace's body was finally brought back to Rhaenyra. She was devastated and still couldn't accept that her son was gone. She spoke to him as if he were still alive, showing just how deep her grief was that she wasn't ready to accept his death. Losing Jace meant she had now lost both of her sons in the Dance of the Dragons, making this one of the most heartbreaking moments of the series. At first, it seemed like losing Jace would leave Rhaenyra broken, just as Luke's death had. But Daemon's return gave her a new perspective and changed everything. He helped her see that she couldn't let grief control her again. Instead of letting grief consume her, she decided to channel her pain into strength and chose to avenge her sons. That is why Rhaenyra executed Ser Otto in the end and continued with the plan to take King's Landing, the same plan she and Jace had made before he left. Daemon reminded her that Jace died fighting for his queen, and that there was no death he would have wanted more than one spent protecting his family and his rightful ruler. That gave her an even bigger push to move forward. Meanwhile, Alicent's plan was working out perfectly. She had sent Aemond away to Harrenhal with Vhagar, the most powerful dragon alive. By removing the city's biggest defense, she cleared a safe path for Rhaenyra to take over without a fight. However, Sir Rickard believed Alicent was hiding something, and the Master of Laws also started to grow suspicious. Before either of them could stop her, Sir Rickard was thrown into a cell after Maester Orwell caught him trying to attack Alicent. With Aemond away, the plan was for Helena to let Rhaenyra into King's Landing so they could finally negotiate a peace deal. Alicent believed she had failed her children and that their fight for the Iron Throne had turned them into people she no longer recognized. Alicent had finally reached her breaking point. She wanted to leave King's Landing behind, let Rhaenyra take the Iron Throne, and stop believing that Viserys had truly named Aegon as his rightful heir on his deathbed. Helena's words, "I was happier before I was queen," kept echoing in her mind, reminding her that the pursuit of the throne had only brought pain and suffering to her family. But before Alicent could walk away from it all, she was captured. Even after she was captured, Alicent kept her word and made sure Rhaenyra and Daemon were able to enter King's Landing without any resistance. The only people who fought back were those who remained loyal to the Greens and chose to disobey Alicent's wishes. Daemon cut through everyone who stood in his way as he fought his way toward the Iron Throne. When Sir Rickard made his final stand and prepared to kill Daemon and Rhaenyra where they stood, the Gold Cloaks arrived, led by Sir Luther, the very man Daemon had given a gold cloak to nearly 20 years earlier. They declared their loyalty to Queen Rhaenyra, instantly turning the tide in her favor. With the throne room now under her control, Rhaenyra ordered the prisoners to be brought forward and prepared to punish those who had stood against her. Sir Otto Hightower was one character I had been waiting to see this season, and Daemon's laugh when he found him locked away in the darkest cell was a perfect moment. When Otto was brought before Rhaenyra, she faced a difficult decision. He had served as her father's hand for years, and he had been part of her life since she was a child. But it was also Otto's ambition and relentless push to put House Hightower on the Iron Throne that had sparked much of the conflict. In the end, Rhaenyra knew she had no choice but to execute him. So, for Rhaenyra, this was not an easy decision. She had never taken a life before, and killing someone who had been such an important figure in her father's court made the moment even harder. But she understood that if she wanted to be seen as a strong ruler, she had to make a difficult choice. Even though she wants to rule with fairness, it is clear that Rhaenyra also realizes that fear can be a powerful tool to maintain control. Rhaenyra did execute him, taking 2 strikes to finish the job. Not exactly the clean death Otto would have wanted, but in the reflection of his blood we saw saw her walk toward the Iron Throne and finally claim what she believed was rightfully hers. Seeing her back inside the Red Keep brought back memories of Season 1, making the moment feel incredibly significant. Watching both Daemon and Rhaenyra standing where they belonged felt like a powerful, full-circle moment. For a brief moment, it almost felt like the story had reached a conclusion as she sat on the Iron Throne, even though the real battle was only beginning. Alicent and Helena tried to escape, but they were unsuccessful. They were captured and brought before Rhaenyra, where Alicent finally saw her father's body lying on the ground. She had no idea Otto had been kept there all this time, practically in the same place as her. Peace was always Alicent's main goal, and that was the reason she allowed Rhaenyra to enter King's Landing without a fight. But now that she has seen Rhaenyra kill her father, it raises the question of whether this will change Alicent's feelings and her willingness to cooperate. The bigger question is what Rhaenyra plans to do with Alicent. Will she allow her to live freely, or will she keep her as a prisoner under the control of her and Daemon? Even though Rhaenyra has taken the Iron Throne, the war is far from over. Aemond still believes he is the rightful ruler and wants the crown he feels was always meant for him. Rhaenyra will also have to deal with the people of King's Landing and prove that she can truly rule. Review. After watching this episode, I can confidently say that House of the Dragon Season 3 has started on a very strong note. This episode felt like the perfect continuation of the premiere, delivering everything that makes this world so compelling: intense battles, emotional consequences, political tension, powerful performances, and of course, dragons. What stood out the most was how well the episode balanced spectacle with emotion. Yes, we got incredible action, but every major moment had weight behind it. Every death, every decision, and every victory felt like it came with a cost. The performances were easily one of the strongest parts of this episode. Rhaenyra's reaction when she saw Jace's body was heartbreaking. The way she spoke to him and struggled to accept that he was gone showed the depth of her grief. It wasn't just the loss of a son. It was the loss of someone who was carrying her hopes and future. But what made Rhaenyra's journey even more interesting was how she handled that pain. Unlike after Lucerys' death, where grief consumed her, this time she turned that anger and heartbreak into determination. Daemon's return helped her see Jace's death differently, not as a reason to fall apart, but as a reason to continue fighting. I also loved the conflict Rhaenyra faced when she realized she had to execute Otto Hightower. This was not just killing an enemy. This was someone who had been part of her father's court, someone she had known since childhood. You could see the hesitation in her because she had never taken a life before, but she also understood that if she wanted people to see her as the true queen, she had to show strength. And that moment, where she walks toward the Iron Throne through Otto's blood, was one of the most powerful visuals of the episode. It wasn't just about victory, it represented everything she had lost to reach that moment. The deaths of Luke and Jace, the years of conflict, and the sacrifices made for this throne. Seeing Rhaenyra and Daemon finally inside the Red Keep felt like a full-circle moment from Season 1. The opening scene was another thing I really appreciated. The silence after Jace's death created this feeling of grief and reflection. But it also reminded us of one of the biggest themes of this story: death does not care about titles or bloodlines. Jace's body floating in the water alongside everyone else showed that even someone with the blood of the dragon is still mortal. Another major improvement was how big the world felt again. This episode reminded me why this universe works so well when it feels expansive. Season 2 sometimes felt smaller, but here we had different storylines happening across Westeros. Rhaenyra moving toward King's Landing, Aemond at Harrenhal with Vhagar, Daemon creating chaos on the battlefield, and the events happening at the Vale all made the world feel alive. Alicent's storyline was also one of the most interesting parts. For the first time, we truly see the weight of everything she has done. She isn't chasing the throne anymore. She is trying to protect whatever remains of her family. She was once a piece in Otto's game, and without realizing it, she repeated the same cycle with her own children. The tragedy of Alicent is that she spent her life trying to protect her family, but her choices helped destroy it. Helena continues to be one of the most tragic characters because she feels completely disconnected from the ambition and cruelty around her. She never wanted power, she only wanted peace, but she was born into a world where she never had that choice. The episode also continued planting seeds around Adam and Hugh Hammer. Their interactions with demons showed the growing tension between those with power and those who are fighting for recognition. You can already feel that these characters are going to become much more important moving forward. And of course, the dragon moments were incredible. Watching Aemond and Daemon unleash destruction showed exactly why dragon riders are so feared in this world. They are not just warriors, they are weapons of mass destruction. The show does a great job reminding us that dragons are not just creatures, they represent power, fear, and control. Visually, this episode was stunning. From Vhagar emerging through the clouds, to the reflection of Otto's blood, to the dragons flying across the sky, every shot felt meaningful. The visuals weren't just there there to look impressive, they were telling the story. Everything built toward that final image of Rhaenyra sitting on the Iron Throne, a moment that felt like both a victory and a warning. Because even though she finally got what she wanted, the episode also reminds us that sitting on the throne is only the beginning. Aemond still believes he is the rightful ruler, the Greens are not finished, and Rhaenyra now has to prove that she can actually rule the people she fought so hard to claim. Aegon and Larys Strong also continue to be an interesting pairing. Their dynamic brings some dark humor into the story, and their chemistry works surprisingly well. With Aegon escaping and heading toward Rook's Rest, where Criston Cole has support, his next move could become very important once he learns that Rhaenyra has taken King's Landing. Overall, I am genuinely impressed with the first 2 episodes of House of the Dragon Season 3. The show feels like it has regained the balance between politics, emotion, character drama, and the scale that made this universe so special. This episode wasn't just about Rhaenyra taking the Iron Throne, it was about showing the cost of getting there. And that is what makes this story so fascinating. In the world of Westeros, winning the game doesn't mean the war is over. That was my breakdown of House of the Dragon Season 3 Episode 2 ending explained.